Hi, my name is Koku with blackfilm.com, and I'm here with Zaria. She's star of Pretty Little Liars, Original Sin on HBO Max. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me, Koku.
Oh, thank you. So, Zaria, I understand you're from Chicago.
Well, I have to be careful.
Oh no, I'm glad you're saying that because
Don't
I know where you're
don't get
going. Please tell me
in
where you're going,
trouble.
please.
Yes,
I hope
I'm
it's
from outside of Chicago.
where would that
Um,
be?
Actually, it's called Munster, Indiana,
Okay.
and it's 30 minutes from Chicago, 10 minutes from Illinois. It is truly, really outside of Chicago. Um, it's funny because people that are born and raised from Chicago are like, "Oh yeah, what street?" And I'm like,
No, look,
"Indiana."
here's where I'm actually going to tell you. So I was born in Chicago, right? But I was
Oh, wow.
raised in a little town outside Chicago called Country Club Hills, Illinois. So
Oh,
it's just
wow.
outside. Yeah, it's just so I get the same thing. Munster, Country Club Hills. You say you're from Chicago, you ain't from Chicago. That's the first thing they say to you is you ain't from Chicago. You know,
Yeah,
but then,
exactly.
you just have to deal with it. So then but then of course now they see Zaria. She's on Pretty Little Liars. Oh no, she's from Chicago.
Don't blame me now, maybe.
Exactly. No, but how do you even compare? Like just coming from the Chicago area to LA, like, how do you compare and contrast? Do you like it?
Well, the thing is I moved around a lot. So I was
Hmm.
like, I grew up in California. My dad always lived in Atlanta. I always had a foot in like Chicago area.
Hmm.
Shout out to Mr. Speech and Debate, Mr. Mayor. If you're watching this, you're the best. I feel like that's where you get your roots, right? Where
Hmm.
you make your best friends, where you find your first heartbreak, where you find your voice is kind of in high school, which is, what Farron's experiencing as well. But
Hmm.
I have to say, it is quite different. I am a lover of the sunshine. I love a sunny day. I do not miss the snow. When we were filming
Hmm.
Pretty Little Liars, there was a lot of snow. So yeah, I have to say California has always felt like home.
No, it's good. I do like how temperate that it is. It doesn't get. I mean, but it's interesting because LA does get pretty cold in the morning and at night. So
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
you don't realize it's gonna do that. So
Right.
yeah, I always warn people like, no, you need to keep a jacket.
Yeah.
Keep something, yeah, at the ready.
Something. Don't throw it
Yeah.
all away.
No, no, no. But I want to talk more about you. I mean, we're going to talk about the show, but you have so many varying interests and have done so many interesting things. I think it's fair to talk about that. And I know that you write poetry, and I think that's amazing. And
Yeah.
especially with the focus in your poetry, I wanted to talk about "We Got a Lot to Be Mad About" and how serious that is.
Yeah, I wrote We Got a Lot to Be Mad About kind of for myself. I was
Mm-hmm.
writing, I do most of my poems just in my notes app and my phone since I was in high school, really, is when I really started writing. And so when we were going through kind of a social awakening, I feel like our community, our Black community, was well aware before
Mm-hmm.
George Floyd. But that's why I love us. We were like, hey, you're late to the party, but you're at the party.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome.
Mm-hmm.
I that's a bit of the poems in there talk about that frustration and talk about how George Floyd is not an anomaly. George Floyd is not an anomaly. Wow, I cannot say the word.
We got it. It's anomaly. You know what she's trying to
Anomaly.
say.
Anomaly. Yes. So yeah, the book was not going to be named that at first, and then
Mhm.
I was kind of choosing between a few names, and I had someone that I really trust read it, and they went, I don't go away from this piece of work thinking anything else, that I do have a lot to be mad about. And I was afraid to name it that because I felt like, well, like that's a negative thing. And but I
Right.
then I thought about it more and I'm like, well, if we're not mad, then we're comfortable. And if we're comfortable, then we're stagnant. And so maybe we can use our anger and turn it into flowers and turn it into something good. So
Mhm.
yeah, and obviously it's a shout out to our girl Solange.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I have to ask because I know that a lot of time writing and creativity, it's like it's therapeutic, it's an outlet. So when you're writing this poetry and it's helping you in that zone and in that place, are you comfortable sharing this? Like, do you go to poetry slams and are you willing to share this with the world and kind of get on stage and perform this as well?
Yeah, I actually
Mhm.
performed a lot in college.
Okay.
I performed a lot of poetry. It was very interesting to see which crowds. It's such a different thing performing poems because You really have to read the room, and you really have to know your room. It's almost like being a comedian, or being, you know, ready to be able to morph into whatever setting. So
Right.
yeah, I really love, there are some poems that I'm like, this hits across all cultures. And
Right,
there's some
right.
like, okay, I know which one's based on the people that I'm performing. I read the room.
But no, that's funny. No, you're right. When I'm thinking of it as a comedy, like, well, maybe I'll leave this one out and I'll use this one because this is
Yeah.
gonna work. Yeah, that's funny. No, but so I know you also many of us know you from Two Distant Strangers, which is an amazing, amazing film, short film, and it's interesting when you watch this film and the concept of it and putting it together. I mean, this is an Oscar-winning short film, and you were in it. So, I mean, how does that feel? I mean, you guys were able to take such a serious subject and give such complexity, and there's so many questions, and there's so much to think about. But how does that feel, even to in this moment know that you were part of something that was so so big and so great, and that got in front of everybody, and you were rewarded for your efforts?
Well, I feel like there's no other word than honored and grateful, because as an artist, I just want that. Like,
Yeah,
it's not, it's beautiful. Don't get me wrong. I
right.
I love that it's Oscar winning. Thank you, Academy. I'll hope to see you again soon.
And another one, and another one, another one.
I hope we become great friends. But it's really an honor to be able to speak for the voiceless, and
Mhm,
to share something and say something in a way that um, people hear. And that's what it felt like for Two Distant Strangers. It felt like something we had been screaming into the void for quite a while, and
mhm.
to be able to meet a moment like that in such a concise and um, really heart-wrenching way was just, I can't say anything more than I'm just so grateful to have been a part of that.
Mhm. I'm grateful that you were a part of it too. I really am, because I can see, sometimes you talk to people, you're like, no, this person genuinely appreciated their moment. I'm like, you know what? I like that for you too, girl.
Yeah, you're talking to people and they're just like, I'm really happy to have. They don't
Let me
blink.
tell you something. I talk to a lot of people, and sometimes it's just like ain't nothing there, and you can just tell. It just is what it is. Life hands us all different types of cards, and we read different scripts. It is what it is. But
Sure.
in addition to this, I just keep going. I like, and Zaria does this, Zaria does that, Zaria does that. But you have your short film, which you just premiered at the LA Shorts Fest. I know you're really excited about that, Irish Exit. So tell us what this is about, where we can see it now, what's going on.
So it's still under wraps. We are still
Mhm,
going through the process of festivals. But Irish Exit is a story about love and loss, and the cyclical nature of both of those things. So
mhm.
I was filming in the middle of nowhere. And well, I don't want to say that because, somewhere to everyone, but it was
No, that's nice.
it was quite secluded, is what I'll say.
Mhm.
And so I found myself really being able to be still and see nature transform, and watch the lush green trees turn into like scraggly, spiky, just like stumps really in the
Mhm.
ground. And I was staying in this really beautiful cabin type of house, and I was like, I just felt like there was a love story in it, and I also
Mhm.
felt like there was like also this really cold um loss in it, and this really really, it felt like isolation in
Mhm.
its rawest, look at yourself type of way. And I feel
Mhm.
like pandemic, we all kind of had that
We are.
awakening
Mhm.
where we had to like really sit down with ourselves.
Mhm.
So it's a nice little 18-minute story about all of that.
That's great. And I mean, are you going to make this? Do you intend to make it a feature at some point?
I am in the process of writing that, so you heard it here first.
Yes, I get a feature, like exclusive from the Oscar-winning film. No, okay, no, but let's go ahead and talk about Pretty Little Liars: Original Sin. What I liked about what I saw was that your character, you are able to talk about microaggressions and things that face us, and like race, just those small things, and especially I think within the context of high school, it's important for people. So I feel like with a lot of things, like people really dismiss the voice of I don't want to call a high schooler a child, but of
Sure.
youth, right? So, and I feel like this story, you give incredible voice, and you lend something here with Farron that I think is very important.
Thank you. Yeah, I was really excited to be able to tell a story about microaggressions, especially because I feel like the combination of being microaggressed and gaslit is so acidic because
Mm-hmm.
when you're like poking at someone so slightly that you think no one else notices and sometimes they don't except for that person and then you're
Exactly.
going, well, why are you bothered? I didn't do anything. It's just it like sends the person into quite a spiral, which is what Farron deals with.
Mm-hmm.
um, and so yeah, it was really inspiring to be able to play a character that stuck up for herself in high school because I have to say I really didn't do that. I remember there are some stories.
Really?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I it was like Munster, Indiana, and there wasn't a lot of like
Right.
and I was like, maybe it is just me. You think that in high
Right.
school
Right.
you're just absorbing everything and trying to make sense of it all, I guess. And so
Mm-hmm.
it was really, really honestly like liberating to play Farron because I got to say the things that I wish I could have said. This doesn't really intersect with racial discrimination as much as Farron's microaggressions. But I remembered recently there was this story of this boy, and he was autistic, and I saw some people making fun of him, and I stepped in and I said, why are you guys making fun of them? And then of course the bully started bullying me for being called out,
Right.
and I ended up getting suspended for causing a scene. I'm just letting down all the exclusives right now. But
Yeah, that's crazy.
I remember the principal told me, well, he didn't know that he was being made fun of. And I remember being like,
Oh,
does that
that's horrible.
okay?
So that makes it okay. Yeah, no, that's
Right.
crazy. That's
Yes,
crazy making.
Karen gets this where people don't really understand, well, why are you being so cold to Karen or Kelly or whoever she thinks it is? Or
Mm-hmm.
why do you think that Madame Giry is being mean to you? She's just a typical dance teacher when really she's not. She's really picking on Farron. And,
Yeah.
Farron and I believe it's because of her blackness.
Yeah. No, it's when you're relating that to something that kind of made you feel like it, you're able to sort of say the things that you couldn't say, right? In high school.
Yeah.
What I was relating it to, because obviously this is much younger demographic, I was looking at it like kind of like maybe the workplace or the things that I
Yeah.
could do better, or some of the things that's like, okay, I'm not crazy. I've gone through these exact same things. So I was relating it through my own lens. Like I've definitely dealt with this where things were being done to me and people are looking at me like I'm just like I'm making something up, but then you realize that the people that are looking at you thinking that you make something up don't think that at all. They just want you to go crazy.
Exactly. It's like the worst torture, I think.
It is. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, when you're questioning your reality, like that's gotta be like the nightmare, yeah,
Right,
of
and then there's
everything.
no fix to that, right? Because if someone is microaggressing you or macroaggressing you or aggressing you, right? If we just
Right, right, right.
aggressing you
Hmm.
and they're making it seem like you're the problem, there's no fixing that. And so yeah, I relate to Farron a lot in everyday life, unfortunately. We all go through that, I think,
We all
especially
do.
Black
And
women.
one takeaway I get from that, just in trying to like keep myself grounded and focused and just like not come off crazy, is that all people see is the reaction.
Right, right.
So it's like you will look crazy. Not saying that you're wrong for reacting, but
Right,
like if
right,
no one
right.
knows what's going on and you're just like throwing things, it's like the crazy ladies throwing, So yeah,
Yeah,
but
there is definitely a level of like, take a second, think about it, journal,
right,
come back
yeah.
to it.
I listen. I'm gonna take a look. I'm gonna take a page from you and attempt to start some kind of poetry. But journaling is. I will try to make something of it, and maybe even just getting in front of people like you have. I mean that might be actually have a therapeutic because I'm not shy, but I like that. I'm taking something away from you. That's my exclusive,
Well,
guys. No. But I wanted to know, Zaria, is does it take anybody like having to get entirely into the previous Pretty Little Liars universe to understand this one? I know that these are the generation after.
right. It's
Mhm,
it's really its own world, so you can experience Pretty Little Lies Original Sin by itself, but it
mhm,
does do a fantastic job at giving nods at
mhm.
Pretty Little Liars OG. So you you don't necessarily have to go through Pretty Little Liars to understand Pretty Little Liars Original Sin, but it doesn't hurt because it's also an amazing show.
And how fun is it to play somebody that's in high school and you're just like,
Oh,
I'm not in
it's
high
so
school
funny.
anymore.
I know. It's so much funner than real high school.
No.
Real high school
Craft
is
services is better than the cafeteria.
it absolutely is, yes. It's fun to play someone in high school. It's fun to experience that world in a different light and with the wisdom and knowledge that you learn after high school. So,
Mhm. That's true. And
yeah.
I love that, I love that you're so creative. And a lot of people may have just one particular passion, and that's definitely not a dig on anybody, but you are able to write, direct, produce. I'd heard you talking that you were in the editing bay, like, okay, this has got to go here, this to go. So I understand you're very immersed in your project. You're very well aware of the process. If you
Yeah.
could have done anything outside of this, let's just say you were going to get an office job or, work in some other capacity so far away from Hollywood, what do you think you would have done?
Oh, I often say the funny thing is the answer is nothing. And I know this because there are the days that are there are the days that are so hard that you're like, I gotta find something else. And then you go, nothing else I could do. I love this. I'm in love with this. But I always joke with myself and my really close friends that like there's a cafe in France that like is calling my name if I ever so just that's where
Listen,
you'll find me.
but see, that would be fun to me because it's like you get to interact with people. If you could pay your bills and just run this cafe, and you have different people that would be coming in, tourists, whatever. Like to me, that interaction it's priceless. Like I can
Yeah.
understand that. Yeah, I understand that. Is
I
there
worked a
any?
cafe job as well too, so I
Did
know a
you?
little bit yes, and I lived in France for a little bit as well, so I'm like, those 2 meeting, just
Maybe
living
that's it.
like day to day, but, then my like,
maybe
my real brain kicks in, is like, "No, this isn't."
maybe that's in. It's in the next script. You can play it off a little bit.
Yeah.
Because she writes y'all. Is there anything else, Zaria, that you're working on? Because I don't want to leave anything out. I definitely want to make sure people know.
Well, that's what I can say. That's
I know.
what I can say, but I do have some really exciting projects that I can't wait to get back on here and talk about at another point.
Why can nobody ever say? No one ever does. Then I've had it where somebody will say, and then I'd be like, I shouldn't have said. So I'll be like, oh, okay, so I have to edit. They're like, yeah, you
Yeah.
do. So that definitely happens.
That's
I
like
I
brain fun.
It happens so much. So you listen, let me tell you something. We have something in common because we are Chicagoland, you know. They're not kicking us out, But I have truly enjoyed talking to you today. You're a lot of fun. You're a very interesting person. I love watching your different projects and getting to know more about you. And I know that people that aren't, maybe if they're not already familiar, they'll be happy to be familiar with you. Mhm.
Thank you so much, Koku. It's so nice to meet
It was so nice to meet you. And once again, my name is Koku with blackfilm.com, and I'm here with Zaria. She starred Pretty Little Liars Original Sin. It is streaming now on HBO Max. And you don't have to be in high school. Zaria's not in high school. I'm not in high school.
you. It's still a lot of fun to
It's
watch.
still a lot of fun to watch. Thank you so much for your time. You've been
Thank
such
you.
an amazing person to speak to.
You
Thank you.
too. Thank you so
Take care.
much.
Thank you.
Bye.
If you want to see more content like this on blackfilm.com, make sure you like, subscribe, and ring that bell.